in the dealings of the spiritual. There is no, is okay, regular, no. It is good or there are no middle grounds. It is either light or darkness. It is not allowed to mix both. You cannot mix both. Now the devil may be able to fool anyone with that. Because he does. But for God, the mixture of both are not allowed. And all through the scriptures, you will see how God shows that He doesn't want the mixture. Whether it's in marriage, in anything. He was the one that told the children of Israel, all the nations that are in your borders, that shares border with you, don't intermarry with them. Was it because God hid them? No. God is love. But God knew that these people that shared border with the children of Israel, and it happens, even to the wisest man that ever lived before Jesus Christ. What God told them at the very beginning, that they should not interact, I won't use the word interact, not intermarry, not share their lives with people that have no covenant with Him. Of course, from time to time, children of Israel fell into that deception, and every time they did that, the end result was they became slaves. These neighboring countries would overrule them, overrun them, subject them to all kinds of problems. And then God will eventually raise a deliverer for them. When they come out of it, to take a couple of years of having wonderful relationship with God, they will find themselves in that same problem again. And all through the Bible, in God's relationship with the children of Israel, a journey of 40 days became a journey of 40 years because of that. I want you to do the math. Something that was supposed to take a month and 10 days became 40 years. What was the problem? They just couldn't maintain that pureness of not mixing it. They always mix it up. Start intermarrying, having mixed children and so on and so forth. And that is what God wanted to prevent from the very onset. It got to the day of Solomon, the king. He was so wise. But the day Solomon started marrying outside of Israel, his problem started. It was not the number of women he had that was his problem. Because God in their day allowed the kings to have several wives. Don't forget, Solomon was the fruit of a marriage his father David had with another man's wife. After the man was dead, of course. Bathsheba by name. The wife of Uriah. So Uriah, David connived with his military general for Uriah to be killed. Eventually, the woman became a widow. Then David had 3 handmaids to marry her. But that was before, after he had discovered that he had crossed the line. And God straightened him out. He repented, and the first child he would have, God didn't let that child live. Because God said it was a child of sin. So the child had to die. Solomon was the very next child that came after that episode. So Solomon was more or less a fruit, a seed of repentance. Because the child was born in adultery between the father and the mother. Solomon's elder brother died because he was a product of adultery. God didn't let him live. So Solomon came after that. And God, the Bible says, God loved Solomon. And the day Solomon had the opportunity to ask God for one thing, he asked for wisdom. And the Bible says God gave him wisdom. Now this wise man, as wise as he was, if he had married 1,000 women in Israel, his wisdom would have stayed intact. So it was not a matter of the number of women. Of course, that's, he's still a world record. That's too much. But his problem started the day he started marrying outside of Israel, outside the children of covenant. The Bible said Solomon loved many strange women. And one of the things there is you cannot share your heart with God and darkness. That mixture will never work. So these foreign women, as they came from other nations, as they came from the neighboring nation, they came with their gods. They came with their mindsets. They came with their philosophies. They came with their ideas. They came with their culture. And you know, when people say they are in love, they become very stupid. So if you love me, you won't even let me live the way I want. You won't let me dress the way I want. Am I a prisoner in your house? And all of those are manipulations. The number one thing about genuine love is this. Is submission. Right now. Especially for those of us that are married. When we start our marriage meetings, we will emphasize that one. The number one thing you will find, one of the main things about real genuine love is submission. Submission. You don't care who makes the decision when you are in love. It's never about you. Your heart goes out to the other person. That is why you can find women, and everybody knows she's smarter than this man will be asking her, why did you let him make the choice? Yes, she's in love. That's it. Submission is never difficult when there is love. When submission is difficult, no matter how that man and that woman argue and they say they love themselves, it's a big lie. It's a lie. Submission is one of those things you see that is genuine love. Even our relationship with God is the same. When your love for God is the way it's supposed to be, you know, it's very difficult to struggle. You don't struggle. You don't. You don't. Self gradually drifting away from God, drifting away from the will of God, drifting away from that perfect life God chose for. And the Bible said he did not leave. His heart was not perfect towards God like his father David. Now you think of it. David, his father, killed many people. God even said, don't build a temple because your hand is stained with God. You've taken many lives. You've destroyed many people. That's number one. Number two. His father David committed adultery. And they killed the man against whom he committed that adultery. Number three, he committed, an abomination, okay, for which God judged the land, and many thousands of people died. Now, he repented of it, of course. God forgive. God is a forgiving God. Solomon had no record of that. The only person that the Bible records Solomon had to kill were his elder brother that was rebellious, that was bent at ensuring that he became a king. Though he allowed him to live at the beginning. But when the guy continued his madness, he had to terminate. That was even the only person the Bible I observed. The Bible records Solomon had to ensure that man died. In his day, there was no war. He didn't have to fight anybody. There was prosperity. The Bible actually said that in Solomon's day, silver was like sand in Israel. There was so much prosperity. Nations brought him homage, paid taxes to him. He had influence that was global. People came from far away to hear his wisdom. God gave him rest on every side. Yet, when God looked at his life and that of his father, the man that had made mistakes and the one that was born into pleasure, Solomon never knew what suffering was all his life, not worse. If you read the book of Ecclesiastes, you will see he confessed that he said, I never denied myself any pleasure that my eyes wanted. In other words, anything I liked, I got. So if Solomon liked a woman, He had 700 wives. I don't know the priest that officiated his weddings, because the priest would have been tired. 700. You know what that is? So Solomon could stand in the stadium with all his wives. 700. Official wives. I don't know how official those ones were. And I don't understand how women got to, because I still don't understand that. If the man already has one, you don't even hear him. You don't talk about the one that had 100, then you come in as number 101. There's someone who's still here, he has 699, so no problem, I'll be number 700. I don't get it. I don't know what to be looking for, honestly. Even if the whole world was in the man's pocket, I cannot figure it out. He had 700 of them officially. Then there were 300 side chicks, like they call them nowadays, concubines, women that were not officially known to be his wives. Probably he had a plan to eventually marry them. 300. Nothing, he said, nothing that my eyes wanted did I deprive myself. He said, I had musicians born in my house. In other words, there were people that were born as they were growing up. They observed this guy had a good voice. He was raised to sing for Solomon. That was his life. Money was not a problem. He was put on salary. All you do is to make sure you just sing for the king, for him to be what? Satisfied. Everything you would think of. Had gardens, palaces all over the place. This man, with all of this, God said his heart was not as perfect with him as his father that had less. What do you think? Here is a man that had less. His heart was perfect towards God. Here is the one that had more than enough, abundance. His heart was not perfect towards God. What was the problem? What was the problem? There's nothing wrong with having things, of course, we know that. But the moment your heart becomes open to those things in such a way that they have your heart, that will not create a vacuum. And there is something God doesn't want in our lives. It is a vacuum that anything else occupies. He wants to be the one that occupies the entirety of our being, everything about us. God doesn't want any aspect of your life to be filled with anything. I was trying to explain that to the Spanish brother in the Spanish service because I was explaining to them the spirituality of it, which I think a lot of you already understand. Life is spiritual. There is no business around the bush about it. Life is spiritual. Very, very spiritual. In such a way that our spirituality must become something we do not take for granted. It must become very serious. Something very serious. God is spirit. He reproduces after his kind, spirit. He's the one in Genesis that said every seed must reproduce after his kind. So human beings will reproduce human beings. God and his spirit reproduces. If he's going to produce, he's going to produce spirit. So everything generally that has to do with God is first spiritual before you can ever talk about the physical aspect. And so the will of God for us is not something hidden in the scripture. It's very open. It's very clear. God doesn't want you and I having any aspect of our lives being occupied by anybody other than himself and the one that carries him. In other words, there is a part of me now that is for my wife, but my wife is a child of God that carries the Spirit of God. I don't know if you get it. If a man that as a believer is to now marry a woman that is not a Christian. You bring in what? A mystery. That's what I explained to you first, a mystery. God doesn't want that mystery. For any reason, for any purpose. No mystery. God doesn't want hybrid. He wants pure breed. You know what hybrids are, right? By now, that word should become something very well known, because we are living in a day and time where there are many hybrids as we speak right now. Yeah. Many hybrids already exist in the world. And that's something God doesn't want. And I'm not going to taught us about that. When God destroyed the earth in Genesis, what was one of the problems they had? It was not just sin. God didn't kill Adam and Eve. They sinned against him. I hope you understand that. God doesn't have a problem with sin. He can't fix sin. He was the one that made atonement for Adam when he sinned against him. God was the one that killed the first animal, split the animal's blood to atone for Adam's sin. Okay? Adam didn't say, forgive me. You can't read the place where Adam said, forgive me. You can't read the place where Eve said, forgive me, but I have sinned against you. God took responsibility for their error. So he didn't kill them. So sin is not something that God kills people. You are sinning, I'm going to kill you. No, that's not the problem. It is the effect of it. Because from the introduction of sin into the world that God designed, and his intention was for it to stay that way. When Adam willingly, of his own will, explain that to us, Adam chose. It's not like he was deceived. The Bible tells us Eve was deceived, not Adam. So Adam was in love. The wife said, if you love me, take this food and eat. He ate. So it's not only that stand. If Adam has known the wife, this food God said we should eat, and I'm not eating, mankind would not have fallen. Because the instruction was never given to Eve, it was given to Adam. So Adam was in love, and the woman was able to tell, if you love me, wear the shoe again. So Adam ate the apple. And for young people, you must be well that if you love me, see the care. When the person tells you that, tell him, not a care. No, there is a line we don't cross because of love, because that's not love. Any love that puts you at variance with God is coming from hell. It's from Satan. Even if it's coming from your father or your mother or whoever, it is from the devil. The love of God never puts us against God. He never puts us at variance with God. So if somebody tells you, if you love me, look at the person and say, I don't. I will not love you today, tomorrow, or forever. I don't. I don't. I shall never love you. I cannot love you. Why? Light and darkness don't go together. So Adam, I believe, he faced something like that. Eve having eaten the fruit. If you love me, yes. Because it wasn't deceived. Yes. He loved his wife. So, but that opened a door. He opened a portal for the devil now to start contaminating everything and bringing that mixture into. The mixture got so much that the Bible records that the fallen angels will marry women and produce children that were hybrids. Where Goliath came from, the giants. It was now no longer a pure breed of human beings. It was now a mixture of human beings and demons. Human beings and fallen angels. All kinds of weird things was happening. And for it not to completely multiply and overshadow the earth, God had to put Noah aside. Because that was a pure breed. And everything else had to go. Everything else. that mind. And in the world we live in today, brothers and sisters, that contamination is there. And it's growing pretty fast. If you remember, Pastor explained to us in your novel that there are people today that are not human beings. Right? And if you want to know those people, they are some of the most beautiful people you can find in their lives. They hardly grow old. And it's not by cosmetics. Seriously. They are some of the most beautiful people you can meet. Perfect acts. Perfect curves. The right color of eyes. And they carry a presence that you cannot just look away from. Seriously. The kind of presence that if they walk into a room, that room will stand still. Somebody said the kind that even if the man is going with his wife, the lady pass. It's not that he loves his wife, but he will go. And maybe sometimes the wife will you know, there are people that can pass, they pass. There are those that pass. When they pass, the person is not spiritual, doesn't know what is going. As the person is coming, he's like a robot. Yeah. They are like that. Whether male or female. Because they are not humans. The human body at the same place can easily be flawed. But because these are hybrids, no wrinkle, not one. The natural woman may be trying to use makeup to put her own straight. These ones don't even wear makeup. She may be the person in her 50s, and she tells you she's 20, you believe. No wrinkle, no. And there are many of them like that. And if it's a guy, the girl is now ready to dive. Hey! He even said Olaf's name. Yeah. Because they are looking at this, not the spiritual eyes. So there is that mixture already. It's all over the place. The demonic and those that are in the occult, they don't hide what they do anymore in our world. It's no longer a secret thing. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay? From the mermaid, you can see it everywhere. What do you call it? Is it serene? You call it? There's a movie called Serene. Oh, I don't know the pronunciation of that name. What is the story about a mermaid? Yeah, Serene. Good. So, it's not fiction. It's not fiction. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's real. There are mermaids. Real. That is the mixture of fish and human. They are real. Very real, like as we are looking at ourselves, and they are real. The only thing is they live their own world under the water. When you're talking about the marine, whatever, these are the people we're talking about. They are very real. So real, you can touch them. Yes. You can talk to them. They are real. Very real. So that mixture is there. And God, I believe Father is not just going to allow it to continue. It's one of the things that is bringing the judgment. Because as we speak, that mixture is coming up in literally everything that is in the world today. They're trying as much as they can to contaminate, to pollute everything. And of course, like I was telling my wife yesterday, everything you buy now, you pray over it. Don't take it for granted. What you buy in the shop, pray over it. The food you eat, pray over it. filter, pray over it. You have no idea where they are coming from. Satanism is no longer a thing that is a taboo. Who is who in town? They are all Satanists. Let nobody kill you. The most successful people we have in the world, of course not all of them, the most influential people that are on earth today, the owners of the biggest companies, call them by name, Starbucks, just name them, they are Satanists. All of them they are. And they don't hide it. They don't hide it. We are the ones that think it's child's play. No. Remember the words of Jesus, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. Don't look at the marriage that they were married and given in marriage. No, that's not the thing. Marriage is ordained of God, God's idea. Marriage came as God's idea. It's not the marriage, it is the mixture, the crossbreeding. As it was happening in the days of Noah, God couldn't stand it anymore. He had to eliminate, he had to wipe out everything. It's happening our day and pretty very fast. Faster than you can think. And don't forget, there are more demons than human beings. Just like there are more angels than human beings. They said the population of the world is 10 billion. The fallen angels are much more than that. And the angels that are with us are much more than that. Human beings are not up to the population of the spiritual. Right? Yeah. For a human being to give birth to another child, it takes 9 months. How does God give birth to you? In a split second. By His word. You can find a person out there today and preach the gospel to him and he gives out to Christ. Automatically, in an instant, that person moves. So that should give you an idea how the spiritual is faster than the physical. So while a mom is carrying a baby for 9 months, period of gestation to give birth to that child, in 9 months, you know how many people that can become born again? They can be, there are hundreds of thousands or millions, right? So that should give you an idea. That should give you what? An idea. And why do these fallen angels do what they do? Why do these demonic, these satanists, why they do what they're doing? For several reasons. One of them is the human body. Because the only license to be here on earth is this physical body. This terrain was designed by God for man, with a human body. And the moment you don't have a physical body, you can't be here. And so, these fallen spirits know the value of a body. So just as God